Germany scored 7 goals against Curaçao. 5 different scorers. Havertz bagged a brace. Wirtz and Musiala, both 23, the two most exciting young midfielders in Europe, were unplayable. It was the most emphatic opening statement of the entire tournament. But now comes the real test. Côte d'Ivoire, back at the World Cup for the first time since 2014, who beat France in a friendly before this tournament, who won their opening match 1-0 against Ecuador through a 90th-minute Diallo goal that nobody saw coming. A team built on defensive resilience, Franck Kessie's engine, and the raw pace of their attackers. Win tonight, and Germany are virtually through to the knockout rounds. But Ivory Coast are not Curaçao, and Nagelsmann knows it. Germany's 7-1 win was everything. Manuel Neuer, 40 years old, the oldest German to ever play at a World Cup, was barely tested. The defense was organized, but the attack was breathtaking. Florian Wirtz created 3 chances in the first half alone. Jamal Musiala scored with a finish from a tight angle that required impossible technique. Havertz led the line physically. Hold-up play, movement, 2 goals. Leroy Sané was the only front-line player without a direct contribution, but even he worked tirelessly. The only concern, Serge Gnabry is out for the entire tournament with a hamstring injury suffered in training. He was Germany's most experienced wide attacker. His absence means Sané must deliver consistently on the right side, and so far that right channel has been the weakest link. Germany's 10-match winning streak across all competitions continues. They are organized, deep, ruthless. The question is whether Ivory Coast's defensive discipline can frustrate them long enough. Ivory Coast's 1-0 win over Ecuador was not pretty, but it was smart. Coach Emersfe set up a compact 4-4-2 that invited Ecuador to have the ball in front of them, defended deep, and waited for the moment. Ecuador hit the woodwork 3 times. Ivory Coast stayed organized. Then Amad Diallo, coming off the bench in the second half, scored the 90th-minute winner. That substitution tells you everything about Ivory Coast's biggest weapon. Amad Diallo of Manchester United, 22 years old, 18 Premier League goal contributions this season, is perhaps the most dangerous player in this squad when given space on the break. Faye is expected to start him tonight, rewarding his match-winning performance. Critically, Ivory Coast beat France 2-1 in a pre-tournament friendly, and they beat South Korea 4-0. These are results that show their quality against top-level opposition. Nagelsmann cannot underestimate them. Franck Kessie, the captain, former AC Milan and Barcelona midfielder, controls the pace and physicality of Ivory Coast's midfield. If Kessie wins the battle against Germany's Alexander Pavlovich, Ivory Coast creates space on the break. Jamal Musiala versus Ivory Coast's midfield, the defining contest. Musiala's ability to receive in tight spaces, turn, and drive forward is the movement that Ivory Coast's 4-4-2 block must track. If he finds space between the lines, which he almost always does, Germany create. Kessie must read his movement and follow him everywhere. Amad Diallo versus Nathaniel Brown, Germany's right back, a new name at international level, against Ivory Coast's most dangerous attacker. Diallo's directness, pace, and ability to cut inside from the left will test Brown's positioning. This is where Ivory Coast will look to hurt Germany on the transition. Florian Wirtz, free to create everywhere. Wirtz doesn't have a fixed position, he roams. Ivory Coast's midfield must communicate constantly about who is tracking him. In the 7-1 win, 3 of Germany's best chances came from Wirtz drifting into unpredictable zones. Ivory Coast must not let that happen. Germany's quality tells, but Ivory Coast make them work. Musiala opens the scoring with another technically brilliant finish in the 29th minute, the kind of goal that makes you stop and replay it 3 times. Germany control the first half, but Ivory Coast come out reinvigorated in the second, Kessie winning his midfield battles and Amad Diallo starting to find spaces. Diallo equalizes with a brilliant counterattack goal in the 58th minute, proving exactly why Faye started him. Then Havertz wins it. Across from the right, a powerful header, 71st minute, Germany 2, Ivory Coast 1. A statement for Germany, but a performance that shows Ivory Coast can beat anyone in Group E. Ecuador will be very, very nervous.